Hi. It's been a minute. Hello, how are you doing? I'm so glad to be back. I wish that I could promise that this will be a regular occurrence, but we'll just have to see. That is so flat. Little life update. I moved from Ohio to Utah about a month ago. Wow, it's been a month already. That's kind of crazy. Now I'm acting in the Utah Shakespeare Festival, which is incredible. I'm just so happy to be making theater again. So that is why I have been incredibly inactive on my bookstagram and disappeared basically from booktube. I know that a couple of you asked if I was gonna create more content, and here it is. We've got a new location. Do you love it? Do you hate it? If you hate it, maybe don't tell me. These are all of the books that I decided to bring with me from Ohio. The others are in storage, or I sold them at Half Price Books. If you'd like to see a video on how I sorted through what I wanted to keep, store, bring with me, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. This video is, I think, a great comeback video for me. It's going to be in two parts. Part one is going to be me talking about the books that I would recommend that I've already read, that I love, that are Greek mythology retellings or Greek mythology inspired books. And then we're going to get into my personal TBR of Greek mythology retellings. Some of them that I've already read, I didn't bring with me. So they're going to be popping up on the screen over here. I went to the library today thinking, I'll just pick them up and have them for the video. Yeah, Cedar City, Utah. I don't know why I thought that was going to happen for me. Okay, now that that's out of the way, why don't we just get into this video? Cue the intro. Where to even begin? Let me refer to my notes. I mean, how would it really be one of my videos if we didn't talk about Cersei? No! On one of these sides of the screen, there will be a card going to a video where I talk more in depth about Cersei, because I have talked about her before, by Madeline Miller. It's one of my all-time favorite books, if not my favorite. It's based on the Greek myth of Cersei. She is this witchy goddess who is a part of the Odyssey myth epic by Homer, if you don't know. It's told from her perspective. In the original myth, or epic, however you like to refer to it, she is just kind of a blip on the radar of Odysseus. He has these long years after the Trojan War where he's Odysseying. That's where we get the word Odyssey from, is from this. His long journey trying to get back home to Ithaca, and he comes across so many roadblocks along the way, and Cersei is presented as one of these roadblocks. She's this witch who ensnares him and keeps him on the island and does a very funny thing to his men. I won't tell you what it is because you should really just experience that for yourself. In Madeline Miller's interpretation of this story, it's from Cersei's perspective. It's from her growing up as this goddess who doesn't fit in with the rest of the gods, who almost craves humanity. She does crave humanity. She craves somebody who understands what it's like to be a human inside the body of a god. So yeah, this is a beautifully written story, incredibly woman positive. I hesitate to say feminist because I feel like that is just a word that's thrown around all the time, but it really is a feminist story because it's told from the perspective of a woman who is pretty much overlooked and honestly demonized in the original story, and we get to see her side of things, her perspective, which is really incredible. Some other things to mention about it: witchy, badass woman, other badass women. I will give a trigger warning of assault. It does happen. Be careful of that if that is triggering for you. You get to meet some other really fun characters like Daedalus, who is the father of Icarus, if you know that story. We get to meet Odysseus, of course. We get to meet Medea, Another witchy, incredible witchy character. We get to meet Hermes, Athena, Helios, who is the father of Cersei, and a plethora of other gods from the pantheon, and some titans as well, including Prometheus, which is very, very cool. There's a scene between Cersei and Prometheus that I will never forget. I mean, you'll never forget this book if you get the chance to pick it up, and I hope you do. So that's my rant on Cersei. Rant over. Cersei is incredible. I would say it's my favorite book. I don't mind saying that out loud, because I think it's true. Madeline Miller also wrote Song of Achilles, which is actually, it came out before Cersei, and I also highly recommend it. So you've got Cersei, which happens after the Trojan War, and Song of Achilles happens before the Trojan War and during. So it's told from the perspective of Patroclus, who, if you've seen the movie Troy, which is one of my favorite films, even though it is so inaccurate, Patroclus is the lover of the hero Achilles. Hi, editing Catherine here. I completely forgot to clarify that I meant that Patroclus is the lover of Achilles in the book, not the movie. That is one of the many inaccuracies of the movie. Back to the show. And the book is told from his perspective, growing up, falling in love with Achilles, and their relationship throughout really Achilles' heroic journey. It's so beautiful and heart-wrenching, and the romance in it is just also incredible. Card, because I have spoken at length about this book as well. Madeline Miller. Her retellings are just, there's nothing like them. They're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. We also get to meet some very cool characters from Greek mythology, aside from Patroclus and Achilles in that book as well. So if you're a Greek geek like me, you'll love it. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Now we've got The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. Again, Trojan War, but this time it's told from the perspective of Briseis, who is a Trojan woman, a queen of a neighboring city-state, I believe, to Troy. So she's not from the city of Troy, but she's from a neighboring city. But they're all considered Trojans on the whole, in general. It doesn't at all sidestep or sugarcoat the suffering that it really would be, the misery of being a woman, and being a woman on the losing side of a war. It will absolutely break your heart into a million pieces, and then those shards of your broken heart will stab into the rest of your body, is how I like to think of it. But it's also so poetic in the way that it is written, not in any way, again, glazing over any of the really raw moments, but in a way that pulls on your heartstrings even more, if that's even possible. It's gorgeous. I love Briseis. She is one of my favorite characters ever. I named my dog after her. So another one that I just highly, highly, highly recommend. Then we've got A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair, and I do have this is kind of a segue into my TBR because it's a series, but it's, this is the second book. I don't have the first one here with me. It's sort of a reimagining. I wouldn't necessarily call it a retelling, but it's a reimagining of the Hades and Persephone myth, and it is gorgeous. This is more of a romance than I would say the other ones are. Patroclus and Achilles in Song of Achilles, that is incredibly romantic. This is more steamy. Ooh, is it spicy? I love, 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 love it. I love Scarlett's writing style. I love that it's a modern reimagining of the Greek myth where, it's set in New Athens, I believe, and Persephone is going to college. She gets an internship. Hades is like this dark club owner, like super, super, super VIP club owner that like you're lucky if you ever see him. Oh my gosh. It's so dark and mysterious, and a hate to love sort of development of the love story. Can't wait to read the second book. I will get to it soon. Oh my gosh, I love it, I love it, I love it. Also, Scarlett St. Clair is an amazing human being. I've had many conversations with her. I consider her an internet pal of mine. We just geek out about little Easter eggs that are in this from Greek mythology that are just like, if you know, you know. You also, in the first book, get to meet Hecate, and she is my all-time favorite goddess, swiftly followed by Cersei. But Hecate is the goddess of witchcraft, and we all know how I feel about a freaking witchy bitch, all right? It's incredible. Highly recommend. Can't wait to read the second book. Now, let's get on to part 2, which is my personal TBR. All right. This was given to me by my dear friend Mackenzie. Pandoras Jar by Natalie Haynes. Can't wait to read this one. I really know nothing about it. I'm not gonna lie. There is definitely a trend with me when I am reading Greek myth inspired stuff. I just am such a sucker for female perspectives in Greek mythology because we just don't get it enough. And that's going to be a trend, you'll notice. Pandora's Jar, another one of those. You know, Pandora, and yes, it was a jar, not a box. Ooh. Pandora is kind of considered to be, she's like the Eve of Greek mythology, where, you know, the original sin, women are behind all wrong in the world, all evil in the world, blah, 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 blah. And you know, I think this is a sort of debunking of that myth. It says on the back, books about the Greek myths are really not meant to be this enjoyable. Absolutely brimming with subversive enthusiasm. That's a review from another author. I'm so excited to jump into this one. Ooh. Then we got Ariadne. First of all, look at this cover. The end pages are also gorgeous. Ariadne, another retelling from a woman's perspective. This one is by Jennifer Saint. Ariadne is a princess of Crete, and she's involved in the Minotaur myth. The king of Crete, his wife Pasiphae, ends up having coitus with a bull, creating the child, the Minotaur, which is half bull, half man. This bull is a monster. The Minotaur is a monster. Daedalus, who is the father of Icarus, he creates a maze in the palace to hold the Minotaur. The king of Crete then, I can't remember his name. No, if I say a name, I'll get it wrong. He demands that some of the youth of Athens be sent over to Crete to be fed to the Minotaur every year. And one of those years one of the tributes happens to be Theseus, one of the biggest assholes of Greek myth, if we're being honest. But Ariadne, that's where she comes in. She basically is the reason that Theseus is able to defeat the Minotaur instead of being eaten. And I'm so excited, so excited to read about her perspective on this. Very excited about that. Moving right along, what have we got next? Oof. So Pandora's Jar is Natalie Haynes, and so is 1,000 Ships. I believe this is another Trojan War retelling. Yep. In the middle of the night, a woman wakes to find her beloved city engulfed in flames. 10 seemingly endless years of conflict between the Greeks and Trojans are over. Troy has fallen. From the Trojan women whose fates now lie in the hands of the Greeks to the Amazon princess who fought Achilles on their behalf, from Penelope awaiting the return of Odysseus to the 3 goddesses whose feud started it all, these are the stories of the women whose lives, loves, and rivalries were forever altered by history's most infamous war. A woman's epic. A woman's epic. Powerfully imbued with new life, 1,000 Ships puts the women, girls, and goddesses at the center of the Western world's greatest tale ever told. Need I say more? No, I don't think so. That sounds so good! I believe this is my last one. So we've got Lore, which is the last of the books that are currently on my TBR. It's, you know, ever growing. If you're a bookworm, you know. So this one is about gods who have been punished for a rebellion, I believe, And their punishment is to walk on earth as mortals instead of gods. It says, you may deny the fates, but they will not deny you. Fighting them will not save you from what is ahead. Oh man. Also, I'm very interested to see how this cover plays into the story, because this is very obviously Medusa. Also, this is Alexandra Bracken. I always forget to say the author. Again, very excited to read this. I believe this is the only one that is considered to be young adult. Pretty sure it's considered to be young adult. I'm super excited to see if Medusa is involved in this story at all, because man, does she so deserves something told from her perspective. I'm hoping that happens sooner rather than later, because I would love to read that. Man, Medusa has been done so dirty by history. She's not a villain. She is a victim of sexual assault. And also, she's at the end of the world, hurting no one, harming no one, and Perseus shows up and chops her head off. Who's the real villain in that story? Because it ain't Medusa. Fight me on it. Who do I have to commission to write that story? Madeline Miller, Natalie Haynes, Scarlett St. Clair, Alexandra Bracken. Anybody. It's up for grabs. Maybe I'll write it. No, I won't. So that's the end. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much for sticking around. I'm truly so happy to be back making these videos. The next one I think is gonna be an unboxing. Look out for that. And then I might do that video on how I decided what to bring, what to store, what to sell to half-price books. If you're interested in that, please let me know. And if you have gotten this far, please leave your favorite Greek myth down in the comments below. Thanks for being here. Darn it, I love you all so much. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.